Dara, thank you so much for speaking to me. This has been an exciting year for you. I am so fascinated by just your journey from the tech space into now you're on Broadway. So
Yes.
this is wonderful. You helped design, you worked on the creation of Lyft initially.
Yeah, I was a software engineer for 4 years there.
So can you talk about that experience? And I was wondering, was it always that you wanted to be an actress and that it was just, hey, let me take this job really quickly, but my heart belongs to theater?
Oh, yes. I actually really do identify with being one foot in Hollywood, one foot in tech. I think I don't want to be seen as someone who just quit software engineering to be an actor full time. I really do see myself as like, a technologist at heart. I'm from the Silicon Valley. My parents are in tech. I majored in computer science. My sister's at Caltech. So it's a really techie family. So I really do feel like at home within the tech space. Um, but yeah, I had always just, you don't get to, you're not aware of your opportunities and alternate paths in life when you grow up in the Silicon Valley. And so I felt like I had always wanted to be an actor. And that was something that really called to me. And so I started doing it at the same time as software engineering and just was hoping that maybe I would book a role and it would help me um, sort of I think the balance was really good for the two because I got to when one was bothering me, then the other one was sort of helping me and
Mm,
vice versa. So yeah, I think the two in parallel has been really great for me.
that is amazing. So I believe, can you talk about your first job? Was it Blue Bullets?
For my first acting job or my first tech
Yeah,
job?
the first acting job. And how that
Oh,
was that during you're being in tech. So how did that work? Where you're looking for work while in work with something else?
yeah. So I Blue Bloods is my first was my first network role. So that was like my sort of big first bigger on TV role. And so it wasn't my first role. I've done, many roles before that. But I will say in terms of Blue Bloods, Blue Bloods was yeah, it's always tricky because you're like auditioning and then also in the middle of work and then you book a gig that's in the middle of work. But I will say it worked out really well for me because my computer science software engineering team it was all based in California. So I could kind of do a lot of the stuff in the morning. So I would always schedule auditions for the morning, self-tapes in the morning, anything I could in the morning, because then by
Mhm.
the time it's like 12 or 1 p.m. here, it's only 9 or 10 a.m. in California. So then I can just continue working a full day. So I actually felt like because my team was bi-coastal, it was I was able to do it. It got very stressful at moments, but I think that was what kind of helped me especially with like a lot of acting jobs, you get to set at like 6 in the morning.
Mhm.
So sometimes you're wrapped pretty early. And so I felt like it actually didn't impact my software engineering job that much, but the auditioning is kind of what was harder rather than the actual gig itself.
So can you talk about the moment when you realized I want to do the acting full time and kind of weighing that option of stepping away from tech for a minute?
Yeah, I think the decision happened about 2 months ago when I booked the Dorian Picture of Dorian Gray. It's been a very recent update in my life. Um, It's funny because I booked the role and I didn't know if the rug was going to be pulled out from under me. I was afraid to speak about the role to my family, and I didn't quit Lyft until literally the last day before rehearsal started, because I was just, or that was my last day because I just wanted to make sure like I wasn't going to be quitting for something that was going to be taken away from me. So. Yeah, I would say like the moment itself was less climactic than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
Mhm.
I think because I had booked it so many months ago and I wasn't gonna, I still had to work as a software engineer for like 3 months after I had booked the role. So I think that's kind of what made it feel anticlimactic. But once I actually quit, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I was crying. I was really sad. And even now, I mean, it's been 2 official months since I quit my job to pursue acting full time, and I'm still like, I can't believe that I'm doing this. It's very scary.
Right. So this is your Broadway debut. What I wanted to know is you, as you stated before, you've worked in TV and film as well. Can you talk about the vast differences from not even just from the acting approach, but also the technology, oh my goodness, the technical approach as well. Sorry. When
Hmm.
it comes to those two different mediums.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, I would say, just to start off in terms of like the acting perspective,
Mhm.
theater has been very interesting. I've never been on such a long running theater production. So I have done the show over 60 times at this point, and I have 60 more to go. And I feel like every performance you do, you just keep fine-tuning your performance and you keep getting better and more efficient at things. So the show really cleans up and tightens up as it goes on, which has been kind of a unique experience for me to feel versus acting. It's like, yes, you get 3 takes, but it's also 3 takes and then you're done. Like it could be a very big monumental scene, but you never get to redo it. You never get to rethink about it. You have to go in as prepared as possible and trust what's going to happen. Versus theater, it's a little bit more like you can kind of tune things as the shows go by. Um, but in terms of like the technical aspect, Dorian Gray is a technical feat. We have oh gosh, I wanted to say 3 live cameras. It's actually 5 live cameras. We have 5 live cameras. Sometimes we have more. We are using, I want to say, 4 different types of camera at any different time on the picture of Dorian Gray.
Mhm.
And so we're constantly dealing with there was just a lot of technical knowledge we had to learn, especially because I'm an actor who has to operate one of the cameras. So it's just been so. I've never been a part of a show with so much technology. And it's interesting because I come from a computer
Yeah.
science background. So for me, in some ways it's more exciting than TV and film because I'm actually like more hands-on with the technology and I actually get to like see how much of it is being used. It's definitely a technology forward show, which is very, very cool.
Because of that, did you come in with knowledge that you already knew about in terms of how to operate the cameras and the devices? Or was this like a different approach? Because I've never experienced this before. What was that learning curve?
Oh my gosh, it was a hard learning curve. There are 5 camera operators and 2 understudies,
Mhm.
and I want to say about half of them came from Broadway slash off Broadway. They had an acting background, and then the other half had like camera expertise. And so the first 4 weeks of rehearsal was just kind of learning the play, but also just like having a crash course on these cameras. So we were rehearsing 6 days a week, sometimes 10 hours, 12 hours a day, which was super long hours to be honest. But I really felt like I had to play catch up because um, I just had no camera knowledge before I had started the show. I will say, when I got the first call back, I rented out my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu studio. I hired a Steadicam professional. He taught me some of the basics of Steadicam, the footwork, like different camera terms, how to operate a camera generally. And I filmed myself and I sent that into casting. So I think that might have helped. And I basically wanted to show them that one, I'm willing to learn, I'm excited to learn. Two, that I could physically handle operating a camera because these things are like 100 pounds, and very large. And that I just wanted to show them that I was super interested in the role. But yeah, other than that, couple hour tutoring session, I really had not operated a camera more significant than my iPhone.
Right. Can you talk about that kind of transition in terms of film to now Broadway? Was there something that you always wanted to do Broadway in plays or probably even musicals as well, instead of just sticking to film and TV?
You know what? I had never dreamed of being on Broadway before because I couldn't allow myself to dream so big. that is like saying you want to be the president of the United States. It's such a crazy thing to say out loud. And I also don't have a musical theater background. So I can half sing, I can half dance, but it's not something I'm like a professional at. So, I was, of course, I had always wanted to be on Broadway. I had seen well over 100 Broadway shows before in my life. I'm a huge musical theater buff. My entire Spotify Wrapped playlist was always, Broadway musical songs. I had watched like all of the, theater productions that were made into movies, etc. So I'm a big theater and musical theater buff. But I didn't. It never in my life did I once say I wanted to be on Broadway because that is such a scary thing to admit to yourself. Um,
Mhm.
and it's such a hard thing to achieve.
So what would you say that you learned the most about yourself
From,
from doing this Broadway production?
that's a great question. I think the biggest thing I've learned is that bravery becomes easier once you take the first step.
Mhm.
So, for example, I was in my software engineering job for 4 years, and I had thought about switching out of software engineering, but it wasn't something I really actively pursued. I had thought about different roles within tech. I had thought about starting my own company, etc. But it really wasn't until I quit my job for Dorian Gray where I have allowed myself to become braver in my thoughts in terms of like, I want to book these bigger roles. I want to do this within tech. And I'm really the space away from my life has kind of given me the permission to dream as big as I want to, as big as I can. And so I think that the number one thing I've learned about myself is just like how brave I can be when I'm allowed to let myself be brave, which has been really cool. Like I just hope that I can continue being fearless once I'm done with this show. To quit your job when there's a lot of economic, you know, changes right now happening in the world is very scary. And so I just signed a new lease. I had to quit my job. Everything I knew about my life changed within the matter of a week, quite
Mhm.
literally. And so that was very scary, but I think because I took that first initial leap forward, maybe it will allow me to continue being brave.
No, what I love, there's so many different layers. What I was reading about you was like, you have a jujitsu studio, you have a black belt. Can you talk about that? Is it always for you? Was it just following your passion and see where it led you? Or was this like an overall picture? Well, I may want to do a play one day. I should have stage combat. Hey, let's study jujitsu.
Mhm. Oh my gosh, that's a great question. So, no. Oh, well, first, slight segue. I don't actually own a jiu-jitsu studio, but I do have a black belt
Okay.
in judo and then a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. But I will say there has been no overarching plan
Mhm.
to fall in this whatsoever. My parents are executive recruiters, meaning they're professional tech interviewers and career coaches. So I was kind of from the womb, born and bred to be in tech and sort of, I saw my whole life going in tech, you know, uh, get married, do a certain type of tech job, and just work there the rest of my life. And I was panicking. I think the idea of like, just being exactly who I was destined to become was really disheartening for myself, especially because I didn't love it. Um, so yeah, I think the thing is that I've continued to do is you got to go in whatever slightly interests you, you got to go all in. So I have done a lot of things in my life, coding, martial arts, acting, etc., modeling. but all of them I've stuck around for longer than 7 years because you don't start seeing success until 7 years. So
Mm.
I would say there has been no plan in my life except for the fact of like I follow what is somewhat interesting to me and I stick it out for at least 7 years. Obviously, I'm, in my mid-20s right now. That's not something I knew even 3 years ago. But now that I'm, getting older, my prefrontal cortex is loading. I'm like, oh, I do think that I tend to get interested by something and then I'll dig in deep. And I think that has kind of been beneficial for me.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Um,
Gosh, thank you so much, Dana.
yeah, so then also with that, how do you see you have 60 performances left? How do you see the future in terms of do you know what direction you want to continue it? Is it still acting? Is it still Broadway? Is it maybe tech?
Definitely. Yes, I always see myself being sort of 1 foot in tech and 1 foot in Hollywood. And when I say that, I mean like the same way that Rihanna has done both Fenty Beauty and has built this amazing music career. Like, I really hope that I can be successful in both avenues. I think right now, though, my current goal is to dig in as deep as I can with acting. I would love to continue being a part of more amazing productions. Theater, TV, film, whatever the medium is, I want to continue diving into like complex female characters who I feel like are complicated, want power, need power, are trying to learn something, are trying to become a better family member, a better friend. That really excites me right now. Um, and I think I haven't quit tech forever. I see myself sort of dabbling in the both. Uh, but I think for right now, I'm really excited about acting and I'm digging in full force.
Is it also what I wanted to know? You talked about the powerful female. Have you seen an evolution in terms of the auditions that you've went on and the material that you've read of women as opposed to when you first started to now?
Great question. Yes. And I'm not sure if that's a sign of the times. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's a sign of me just getting better auditions because of better representation or me getting better auditions because my auditions have been getting better. I don't know what it is. Um, I have seen a slight gradual shift. I would say it's still tough though.
Mhm.
There are still a lot of roles that want me to have an accent or want me to be a dragon lady or a ninja or a stripper. All great things, all great things.
But
But I mean, well, actually not all great things, but you know what I mean? Like there have been more stereotypical roles that I have auditioned for in the past that I don't love doing, to be honest. Yeah, I'm hesitant to say yes, though, to this answer because I think there's a long way to go still. I
right,
think there's definitely still a lot of ageism, meaning I'm afraid if I don't make it in the next 5 years, then I'll never make it simply because of my age. I know that there's also just a lot of stereotypes, and I'm afraid I'm gonna get a role that like feels like it's doing the Asian American community a disservice. My hope in life it would just be to have not only more Asian Americans in Hollywood, but more Asian Americans in Hollywood in roles that are non-stereotypical, that they are just treated as a human being and their ethnicity happens to be a part of them, but it's not their entire identity.
right. This is also a Tony nominated play. And so I was wondering, are you someone did you get extra excited when you heard that? Or are you like, hey, this is just something else to add to the little resume? Or was you like, yeah, you just blew it off when they announced the nominations?
I was so excited. I was counting the days for the nominations. The cast and the crew, Sarah and Kip work so hard and they are true forces to be reckoned with. And I was so proud that they are getting the recognition that they deserve. So for me personally, I was very excited for them. I'm very excited for this production. Um, it has been an honor to work with them and just to be experiencing like the highest level of theater possible has been the most amazing dream and gift come true in my entire life.
Right. So I was also wondering, the LA scene and the New York scene are slightly different in terms of the acting and also the approaches to acting. Did you notice that when you came to New York, or was it one and the same?
Good question. It's tough because when I had moved from LA to New York, I was a very early stage actor. I was non-union at the time. And so it's really hard. It's not like I was established in LA and then I moved to New York once I was established. So it's a little bit like comparing apples to oranges. I will say though, New York is people tell me that it's more theater focused. Sure, I could understand that. I think for me that the big thing about New York is like bigger than the thought that theater is the main acting medium here. It's more about New York doesn't really value influencers and celebrities in the same way. New York just wants to see talent. And I think if I was in LA, maybe I would be caught up more with the influencer scene, the modeling scene, um, perhaps the glitz and the glamour. There's a lot more comedy over there, versus like the shows in New York tend to be a lot more procedural and gritty,
Mhm.
which there are benefits to both. But I think for me personally, it was good to start in a area where not everyone was an actor, especially because I'm not purely an actor. So I think that
Right.
made it easier for me to make friends, find my community, feel more whole as a human. Um, and I would definitely start my career in New York again if given the opportunity.
Do you feel that it helped you evolve as an actress and with the materials that you want to do?
Absolutely. I think the main thing too is there's not a lot of tech in LA, but there's a
Mhm.
lot of tech in New York. New York is like startup central. Every hyper growth startup has an office in New York, or San Francisco, but lots of the time in New York. So I felt like because I was able to grow my tech career so much in New York, that helped me be a better actor in terms of like I just have a lot more life experience to bring to these roles now. I can maybe be more empathetic to the characters I play because I've seen more of life at this point. And then also, I think the roles in New York, I don't know, I just really like a deeper sort of role, and I think allowing myself to work and really not be so obsessed with acting has been really helpful for that, especially for my mental health.
Do you ever see yourself as a writer, maybe merging the two in terms of the technology and you starring in it?
That's a great question. I know that, I think a really good example is oh gosh, is it Good Will Hunting? Um yeah, it's Good Will Hunting, right? That like oh my gosh, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, they wrote
Mhm.
together, they starred in, then they won a bunch of Oscars.
Yes.
I know that's a great way to break in Hollywood is like don't wait around for someone to give you permission. Instead, make your own role and create a role that you see fit. I think that could be a really interesting path forward for me, especially because I'm sure as you could tell, I'm very opinionated on the kinds of roles I want to play.
Mhm.
That being said, I have no writing experience whatsoever. I'm not a bad writer, but I just cannot, I've never written for like a script before.
Right.
And then also, I think I'm a little bit too focused on tech right now to also dive into writing. Hopefully, at some time in my life, I will be able to explore that, especially because there's lots of stories I would love to tell. But I think for right now, I'm just going to focus primarily on the acting and then the tech entrepreneurship side of myself.
It's probably secret. I don't know. Can you say any of the projects that you're working on in terms of the tech aspect?
In terms of the tech aspect, I think for me, I'm at a point where I have 4 years of a software engineering degree. I know that AI is coming for us all. I've been
Mhm.
interviewing with a few startups, talking with a few other potential co-founders to start my own company, thinking of, problem areas that I would like to solve or dive deep into. Um, I would say it's all newer though, and I'm excited to finally put my technical knowledge and then also my knowledge of like Hollywood and entertainment, hopefully together and build something cool.
Is there a happy medium between AI and Hollywood, do you feel?
That is a tough question.
Mhm.
I hope there will be. I think it's very possible that AI gets very scary in terms of AI art, replacing models, actors, etc. with AI. That is something I do not agree with. Um, how can we tell stories about humans if we don't have real humans portraying these stories? I definitely think AI can ideally AI would just enhance jobs, make things easier, um, so that instead of spending time doing, annoying tasks, maybe we would have more time for our creative pursuits. A good example would be like, I want AI to do my dishes while I am off creating art versus the AI is creating the art and then I'm the one doing the dishes. So ideally, there would be a good balance where AI and Hollywood can work together. I do think that there needs to be a lot more legislation in place. I don't think there are enough people warning us about the effects of AI and the ethics around AI, especially with just making like the problem is when you make AI for profit, it's just so easy to spin out of control. So it would be really great if we had some worry around there and some action forward to stop us from getting to a scary spot.
Right. And then, kind of lastly, I wanted to know, do you think of your legacy and impact in both the technology world and in acting world?
Yes, I really hope that one day I can be seen as somebody who is has one foot in either industry. Um, Life is long, and I have never agreed with the sentence of, "Oh, well, what do you want to be when you grow up?" I'm like, "Well, why can't I be multiple things?" I don't see why if you have multiple passions and pursuits, why you can't pursue them both. Um, so yes, I think just thinking on this, yeah, I think I see myself as both an actor and then also a technologist of sorts.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Congratulations on all your success and
Oh,
everything.
thank you
This is
so much,
amazing.
Dana. Oh
You have
my gosh.
you have the career of like a 55-year-old.
Oh,
This is amazing.
you know what? I'm feeling like a 55-year-old. I'm on my last brain cell right now. I have no idea what's happening at any given point. I'm running around like a headless chicken, to be honest, but I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yes, no problem at all. And I look forward to more from you. So thank
Okay.
you so much for speaking to me. Hello
Thank
me.
you. Oh, thank you, Dana. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank